John, you can get my bits anytime.
I'll give you 2 bits. Can I get 2 bits?
Welcome to Four Brewers. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Coming in hot.
Welcome to Four Brewers. My name is John Holzer, and as always, I'm joined by
Jason Harris.
And Greg Nagel.
And this is the first podcast we're doing with this special announcement we're about to make. And
it's so special.
We're going to build suspense here. We're going to build suspense.
It's coming.
We've been 3 brewers.
It's coming.
But now again, we are 4.
It's going to get louder.
We have a 4th brewer.
It's coming.
And that person is...
a 4th brewer!
That person's Tim Mather.
Hey, guys.
Yeah.
Welcome.
That's so awesome. I'm very excited.
Yeah, we had Tim on, not this previous session, but the session before that, and it
made
kind of
sweet love.
worked out pretty well. Like, the Untapped podcast was ending, and you still kind of wanted a podcast, and we were looking for a 4th person.
Oh, yeah.
And I think you're as much as a beer expert as much as we are when it comes to being like an amateur beer person.
I would say he's an untapped resource.
Oh man!
Oh, gosh.
Did you just-
Already? So they begin.
That was quick.
You didn't get to experience the full Greg the last time you guys.
Oh, yes.
I thought about that for 2 seconds.
I'm looking forward to it. No, it did line up really well. I had a great time. Obviously, John, I've known you forever, as we've talked about. And meeting Greg, met Jason last time. It's really fun to be here, and I love what you guys do. And
yeah, you live in LA, in West LA, right?
Yeah, West LA.
So it's a bit of a trek, and Greg lives in Orange County. But with the way our podcast works, we record once a month, so it's not a big deal to get together once a month.
Take a day off.
We actually all live in different counties.
Oh,
we
wow.
do, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty true.
Yeah.
We live in
Yeah.
the Quad counties.
The Quad County area.
The Quad County.
Quad County Brewers.
Nice.
So
4 brewers, 4 counties.
So welcome to the show, Tim. I'm
Thank you.
pretty stoked too. Like again, like you said, we've known each other for a very long time, and I never would have thought the day I met you to do our show with New Beer Thursday,
Oh, gosh.
that we'd eventually be on a podcast together almost 10 years later. So that's pretty dope.
I think
So-
I think recently got this day in history of a screen grab from that show on
yeah?
Facebook. Yeah,
Nice.
which is really
We need that song that is that Peter Gabriel song? It's like do 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 do. It's like I never would have thought. Do do do. Boo, 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 boo. Take the back of Salisbury Hill.
just let you keep going with
Yeah,
that. You're good.
Love it.
5 minutes of me fucking acapella rendering of
Go for it. man.
Yeah,
old easy listening jams.
you're obviously like your setup here is so much better than what I was used to with a mic on my desk. But I'm
This is
stoked.
overkill.
I mean, I don't know. You got your
it's nice to have, definitely.
you got your stuff down.
It makes
Yeah.
post a lot easier. I'm sure.
You're telling, dude. Like, I know a lot of people like to record individual tracks and have the power to edit those individual tracks and stuff. The way I do it gets recorded to one track. What you hear on Twitch is basically what you get on the recording. I do a little bit of post processing to kind of clean up some of the noise and stuff and raise the levels and stuff. But yeah, editing on one track and having this set up, have everything sound as good as it sounds and isolated.
You can almost edit live if you had to.
If I had to, I could just release a
Batch
show
process it.
like right after we record it. But I don't want to do that because
It's
Yeah,
gonna
you got the time.
it's gonna be a learning experience too, because I think I mentioned before, like our Drinking Socially podcast was like 100% scripted with commentary thrown in. So going off the cuff's gonna
that's true.
be interesting.
it's fine if you want. I mean, it's if you want to still do stuff like that. And you seem like you have your shit together. Like you brought your beers. I'm assuming you have plenty of things to say about them. You're not winging it like we do. And
I just wing it.
We'll see.
That's the most fun.
Oh,
Honestly.
I have
yeah,
a
no, it's
teleprompter
good.
over here. That's why I have the computer.
Yeah.
so I mean,
The
however you wanna-
Illuminati's telling me what to say.
there's no right way to do this podcast. So
No,
It's a podcast.
yeah, it's fun.
We're just 4 dudes sitting in a room in Moreno Valley drinking beers,
4 duders.
sitting on a fooder.
So we thought we'd kick off Tim's show with Tim's beers. You just got back from where were you when you got these beers? Like, any specific place, or is this just stuff you've been?
The first one to start it, we just got back from a road trip. We left LA, drove to Vegas, through southern Utah, northern Arizona, hitting up all the national parks along the way there, and then made our way back. And so along the way, I stopped and picked up a few things as we were going. The first one here, I got in Springvale, which is the little support town right outside of Zion National Park. There's like a grocery store there, and we just stopped by to fill our ice chest with some extra stuff because the towns that we were staying in a couple of Airbnbs.
Almost dry almost.
And no, but we just mostly were there for food, and I just picked up some stuff because our goal was try and keep the food side on the cheap. And some of these towns that we were going into, we were staying in like tiny home Airbnbs, and we're talking like maybe 1 or 2 restaurants in like the tiny little main drag. So we're just like, okay, well, we just need to stop at the store and pick some stuff up so we have food to eat on the way. You know, some Easy Mac and some sandwich supplies, stuff we could throw into an ice chest. And so I stopped over by the cooler and decided to pick up a couple things. And so that's where this first one comes from Springvale.
You can do them in any order. I just got these photos up here. Like,
oh, it's fine. I actually put them in the order in your spreadsheet.
Of course you did.
I organized it.
Tim. Yeah, I didn't even notice that.
Oh, you're wrong. Your order's wrong here.
Yeah. So.
All right. So this is starting. So we're starting here with the Epic Brewing. So a little backstory on this too is, as I feel like a lot of people know, or at least have an inkling of, Utah has very strict alcohol laws. There's the 4% law. So all beer that is sold in restaurants or grocery stores or convenience stores that have a beer only license cannot exceed 4% ABV. Okay. So I knew this, and I went into it knowing like Utah has these like kind of strict liquor laws, and I knew that they had an ABV limit, and it was all in there. I went into it knowing, but then when I hit the cooler and I start looking at everything, I'm like, oh, this is real. Like, you know, you have to be there and experience it. Because we've been to Zion before, but I went to a restaurant that had a different kind of license. They sold beer on tap that was a little higher.
Yeah, the wine and spirit.
Yeah, the wine and spirits or whatever it is. And so it was just kind of trippy to see it. And so I was like, okay, I got to pick this up. And the fun thing about it is that this beer is from Epic Brewing, which started in Utah.
They're like 18 years old or something?
Something like that. I'm trying to remember. Are they up in... Yeah, they're in Salt Lake City.
Okay.
And I saw it and I was like, Utah Session Series. This is interesting. It's a session IPA. It's 4%. And I did a little research, and I actually picked up 2 that were in the Session Series, as they call it. I had like some sort of mountain ale, like a special one, and this one. These are actually specifically packaged for Utah.
Huh.
So obviously we know Epic makes a bunch of beers, and I've had plenty of Epics that are
we
over
get Epic
4%.
out here too.
Yeah.
And so they have these specific ones for the grocery stores that are specifically labeled that are made for that purpose.
They're Utah friendly.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that was really neat.
They're working within the constraints of their laws and whatever in order to sell beer. Which,
exactly. And I thought that was really kind of just really cool. And one thing that I also thought before I'll crack this open and get to it, one thing that I thought was also interesting about the whole limited ABV is that you go in there and you see a lot of styles that like I wouldn't normally go for or pick up. Like you've got some lagers, you've got cream ales, you've got just like the lighter end of the spectrum.
Schwartz beers, maybe.
Yeah. As somebody who is a hop lover, I'm always looking for IPAs or double IPAs. There's literally no IPAs.
Doesn't exist.
There's nothing higher than like cream ales and lagers and stuff. Obviously session IPA, but I thought it was cool seeing these breweries trying to innovate and make good stuff within the constraints that they had.
They're like 2 wives, absolutely cool. 2 IPA, no.
Oh, that's a myth, Greg. That's not true. Come on,
that's bad. Double wives, okay. Double IPA, no.
Hey, that one brewery makes a polygamy beer.
Polygamy
so
porter.
They're owning it.
Yeah,
they're owning it.
That's the wail of old dudes who come back from. Literally, my father-in-law brought me back a T-shirt from that. He's like, "Oh my god, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen."
I remember when I first got into craft beer, like that was a beer you had to get.
Yeah. It was one that was around, and then I saw it on the shelf in the cooler room of a gas station on this trip, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember that."
Yeah, it's just like, why was it so important to try this beer? Because it says polygamy on it. Like, oh, that's so racy.
I know. I thought it was like, I thought it was supposed to be something like special. I'm like, but it's like 4%.
It's just
it's like you know what guys who drink this beer do? 2 chicks at the same time.
But you're married to them.
So this is super yellow, like very, very, very light colored.
Oh yes.
There is no like specialty grain in there at all.
If you told me this was a Pilsner, just by looking at it, I would be like, okay.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of a fog to it. But
admittedly, this rolled around in the cooler for a week.
Yeah, the head on it is really nice. Like, I mean, it's sticking around. That's
also,
always good to see. I say that
I always
a lot.
like to note that there are actually 3 Epic brewing companies. And
There's
this is
three? I know there's one
this
in New
is the
Zealand.
Utah one. So there's
Yes.
the Utah one, there's the New Zealand one, and there's a tiny one in Washington that I've been to.
Oh, really?
Well,
In Seattle, yeah.
there's Epic Brewing, which is Utah. Epic Beer is New Zealand.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know about this other one.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
know about
There's
the
a
third
really
one.
tiny one in Washington called Epic Ales. I think we had a beer from that weird one with like a bootleg label of a beet on it. We had it like years ago on this show.
I don't know.
We definitely did. I remember
Yeah, the nose I
all
get.
the way back in season 1, episode
Hey,
14.
look at that guy. Kyle's getting to it.
On the nose, I get some nice sort of citron quality, like a Buddha's hand almost. Sort of like a overripe lime and some honey character. I don't know. Super simple on the nose. Smells like a session IPA from just about any brewery around here. You know what
I
mean?
do pick up that honey character too. It's got like more of a you do get like a fruity hop aroma, but the malt comes through, I think, about equally as the
I think you
hops.
should in a session IPA. You need something, some
Yeah.
sort of malt, like to build up. So it's not just like this aqueous sort of watery mess of just a beer with like a hop water or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
I think it's
You
pretty
guys,
good.
I just drank this.
I just drank this.
No, this has really actually got a nice hop character to it. Really low bitterness. It's very
It's very easy drinking.
yeah.
for sure.
I actually really like this beer. Like I would regularly buy this.
Yeah, like Greg said, a lot of session IPAs suffer from having too thin a body because you want to limit the malt character and still emphasize the hops. But this isn't like that. I mean, if they're putting this out for mass distribution in Utah, you know that they have their shit together when it comes to brewing this beer. So it's got a nice middle of the road body, I'd say. Nothing too over the top. It's not too
it's
sweet.
just right.
It's pretty dry finish. It's really good, really refreshing overall, I'd say.
Good start.
Yeah.
Yep. I also had another one while we were out there too, which was it was called Cottonwood Common by Bohemian Brewery. It was a California Common, again 4% limit, and it was really good. And California Common's not a style I see a lot of. I like it a lot, but it's not something I see a lot of. So again, like you're thinking for us who are out here in California with the freedom to just go down and pick up a 10,000% beer from the grocery store, no problem. Being in here and seeing like, okay, here's all these 4% beers, you kind of go into it having this like slightly negative view on it. But if you think about it, you go and you get a high percent ABV beer, you're going to drink that and you're like, okay, I'm done for like,
You're just done.
you're
yeah.
destroyed. And if you go and like, okay, well, there's all these 4%. It's basically just sessioning. You could try several different ones, and you're just like refreshed and pretty solid.
You're
I
ready
mean-
to praise the Lord.
From my perspective, in California, yeah, you have access to whatever beer you want. You can buy a 16% beer on the shelf. But I always get stoked when I see a brewery that makes a lower alcohol beer, especially if it's under 4%. And I think being in Utah, maybe you get like this different attitude where it's like, well, that's all I can choose from, so this is
Right.
bullshit. Where in California, it's like it's a treat when you can get a really good beer that's that low in alcohol.
I think early stage of craft beer, like a lot of people focus on the high alcohol aspect of it. Like, oh yeah, it's 8%, it'll get you fucked up. you
Right,
know?
right.
Like I think even as new homebrewers, right? You're like, well, it's supposed to be 5, but it came out 6, so more for me.
Yeah,
like. And then as you kind of mature in it, you're like, it'd be nice to have another beer and still be able to drive home.
I mean, you saw that somebody put out like some sort of graph of like, the Neanderthal guy is like into lagers, and then as he evolves over time, he's into double IPAs
and
and
stouts,
Russian
like
Imperial Stout, and then
barrel-aged.
the end, like he's human again, and now he's into
Back to
lagers.
Yeah.
Like I feel
Yeah.
like people who've been into craft beer for over 10 years sort of is in that lager ball. Nobody's that I hang out with is like, well, give me a triple IPA every day. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
I actually like
not lining up.
I legit just, it's like new triple IPA. I'm like, cool. I'm good. I'm
Good.
I feel the hype wearing off. I used to be very much like, oh my God, gotta get it.
Gotta
And
get
then
it.
I'm kind of like, I've been like,
Conditioned.
IPAs and double IPAs, I'm still like all about, but I'm a little less on just, oh my God, I
I've
gotta have
never
that.
had a over 10% IPA that wasn't boozy as fuck. Like
That's fair.
just inherently, it's like, oh, it's like a good IPA with a lot of extra alcohol heat. Like that's the best case scenario, right? Where if they made that same beer that was like 7.5, it would
It'd be perfectly
awesome.
balanced.
Yeah.
I think that's what happens is you run out of balance because your palate can only perceive so many IBUs. And then once your alcohol and sweetness goes above that 10, 11%, you just can't balance it with hops anymore. And you're just going to get more alcohol sweetness. You're going to get more body and all
like
this stuff.
Pliny
It's
the
like,
Younger
ooh.
is like the perfect example of that, right? It's just
It's super dry,
It's
though. I
like-
give it props.
yeah, but it's like Pliny the Elder, but like hot and boozy, and
Don't ruin it. I've never had
But
it.
it's good.
I mean, it's
try.
really that.
I'm sure. I'm sure it's a little hyped, but I definitely, yeah.
I think alcohol content is still like a marketing thing that is still very much alive. Like yesterday, Green Cheek came out with Cocoa Hut, and they made a double IPA version of it.
Oh,
and
okay.
like it sold out. And I know
The lower one didn't.
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Cocoa
but
Hut's is a bomb ass beer.
for the most part, like their selling out cans during a release day has been tapering off, which is nice because then you can actually just go to the brewery and buy it from the bar.
For sure.
But this one sold out, and like Green Cheek even like in their on social media was like, yeah, but we made a double IPA version of it, and I still think that carries weight with people because that's important
You
to,
get
especially like
double
newer
your-
beer drinkers.
Double your alcohol for your coin, I guess.
And like you said, the more beer you drink, and the longer you're into this scene, you're just like, yeah, it's fun getting drunk, and that's alcohol obviously is fun, but it's there's a limit. Like you want to enjoy so much, but you don't want to be inhibited by the ceiling of alcohol.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I held a grudge for years because I was at Three Weavers. I was working in LA. I went to Three Weavers. This is 60 miles from my house, right? But I'm like, I'll have a couple beers here, and they had a bunch of double IPAs on and wouldn't serve anything other than full pours. And I'm just like,
Bro.
well, fuck you guys. I guess
Anybody want to split a beer?
yeah, I guess I'll leave after one because like, you guys won't pour me anything but
You got to do at least half pours.
We don't do tasters? Like,
they only do their core
Core.
flight.
oh, that's bullshit.
Yeah, it was really annoying. I'm like, yeah, anyone who doesn't do tasters, like, fuck off.
I'm at a point now where if I'm at a brewery and they have a double IPA or something that's higher alcohol, I want a half pour. of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Just because I still want to, like Jason said, you want to hang out and have more beer. Like I'm not going to drink 16 ounces, and a lot of places limit the size. They don't give you a full pint of like a 10% beer. They'll give you like a 12-ounce pour.
Yeah.
But even then, I want 8 ounces,
Yeah.
like 10 at the most of that beer. And it's nice to have that option. So
I mean, honestly, if you're a brewery and you're not doing half pours and 4 ounces, go fuck yourself. Honestly. Like,
Honestly.
honestly,
fucking-
Just go in the bathroom and pleasure yourself
and
until
then once you're feeling better, come back with some glassware.
come back with 4
smaller
ounce.
pours. That's right.
so what's up next, Tim?
All right, so let's move on next. So, to your point, John, that you made a little bit ago, it must be frustrating having like the limits as somebody who lives in Utah to have those limits in your like local store. As you mentioned, just some background. Obviously, a lot of these laws lie in within the Church of Latter-day Saints, which is the majority of the citizens of Utah are part of that church, and
it's the motherland.
they obviously they have a belief that members should not consume alcohol, and so that's really driven a lot of the laws that are going on there. And there was actually, I read something interesting. There were actually several attempts to make Utah a dry state,
I believe it.
which it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
But one of the funny things too is Utah was actually the 36th deciding vote to repeal the 18th Amendment and ratify the 21st Amendment, repealing prohibition, partly to end violence that was caused by bootlegging. But it's interesting to think that a state that was trying to be dry cast the deciding vote to
that's
repeal prohibition.
Right.
Tim did come prepared.
Wow,
Look
fuck.
at this.
I had a whole
Jeez.
Word doc here, man.
I'm telling you, this is nice.
I like to produce things.
I'm like, I brought a Russian River beer and I've got thoughts on Russian River, so here we go.
Hot takes.
But so I'm going to go to this next one, but really quick. So recently, if you guys didn't hear, they like within the last couple weeks, the governor of Utah signed a bill upping the percentage to 5%.
Oh,
yeah, I saw that.
That's going to take over, I think, in November. So they'll get a 5%.
I honestly think I remember reading about that. There's a business pressure that was put on it. It was pretty much the reason it happened is because business now is like, we're going to stop making beer for you. Because
Oh.
it was a few states that was doing it. Kansas, I think, was the other one of the other ones. Or
Somebody else just
someone in
raised
the-
it recently. Yeah.
But yeah, they just got rid of it. So it was like they were making all of this really low alcohol beer for 3 different states.
Yeah.
And then it was down to just one. And they're like, we're just going to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The irony to your statement there too, which is another note that I put, is that Epic actually, when they did their expansion, which was like a $2 to $3 million facility expansion, they went to Colorado.
Yeah.
They didn't stay in Utah.
Yeah, they
for
did
the
that
reason
beer.
of the liquor law.
It was like
issues.
Escape to Colorado. I remember the beer that came out at the time.
So on
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I had that beer. Yeah.
So on that note, as we mentioned before, places with the right licensing, state-run liquor stores or bars and restaurants with the right license are allowed to sell higher ABV beer. So when we got into Moab, which is right outside of Arches National Park and Canyonlands National Park, we stayed there. And after we did a day of hiking, we're like, let's go grab a beer at Moab Brewery. We went there. It's a big restaurant. It was super busy. We had our kid with us, so we can't go into the bar area because it's 21. And
How many Jeeps in the parking lot of that one?
the whole town was packed. It
Okay.
was pretty nuts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
SUVs.
like it's a
people
Jeep
on,
playground.
People on bikes everywhere. You didn't see an SUV without a rack of like 5 bikes. It
No
was
doubt.
it was pretty rad. But anyway, so we didn't want food and we didn't want to wait. So we're just like, oh well, there's the to go section. I'm going to grab some cans from the to go section, and see what they have. And so let's go complete opposite end of the spectrum here. And now I've got a double IPA from Moab Brewery, which is at 9.6%.
Boom.
Dang.
That's on the high end of a double IPA in my eyes.
Speaking
It's
of
below Jason's limit though.
speaking of big and boozy, yeah.
It's below
Yeah,
Jason's limit.
Yeah, it's
10%.
It's
Fuck that shit.
24% ownership of whatever. What was that
I
fucking
know.
art?
Fiercely independent.
I was at Chapman Crafted yesterday for the Mickler Run Club they did with the Inland Empire Mickler Run Club, and they had a 9.9% hazy IPA on tap. So that also
Didn't quite
falls
get
under,
there.
It's right there. I didn't get it though. Everything I had yesterday was basically 5% or under, and it was amazing.
FMU. What do we think that means?
Fuck my Utah.
course.
Fuck me up.
Fuck me up. That's honestly, I can't find any indication that's not what it means.
Well, there's an astronaut on it. So what's space related to FMU?
The hops are lifting you up.
You're getting ready for blast off with this carefully calibrated double IPA.
Oh, that sounds like it was pre-written.
Yeah, there's 4 pounds of hops per barrel. They're powering your hop rocket.
4 pounds of hops per barrel, really?
That's what it
That's
says.
quite
That's
a
up there.
bit.
Columbus and Simcoe with Centennial and Cascade. So
Super old school vibes.
Yeah. I mean, you can smell the booze on this. Like it's
yeah,
burning my nose
It
hairs.
smells like hop candy. You know, have you ever tried those like hop candies? in
I
the
have.
home
yeah.
shop?
Actually, those
yeah.
are pretty good.
Have you tried the Chronic? Remember when Chronic candy was a thing?
Nah, that's not really my jam.
Remember where their off? Did you know where their office was?
No.
There's this little space of land where the 60, the 91, and the 215 meet in like Riverside, Colton area.
Okay.
And it's like literally on the interchange that goes from the 91 to the 215 south. And on the right side, there was a tower where there was like they did some kind of broadcasting, and then an office, and that's where Chronic Candy was.
Oh.
Wait, is Chronic Candy a brewery?
No, they were a candy company that made like candy with I guess it wasn't real like CBD. It was like marijuana without the THC.
Oh, okay.
But they marketed it towards like club goers
Sure.
and stuff. Like you can have Chronic Candy. But yeah, I would drive by there every day. I'm like, that's such a weird place you're like in the middle of the freeway. That's so bizarre.
Yeah.
Ooh,
It's gone now.
Wow.
This is
That one.
it's an old school double IPA for sure.
That's really bitter. That's like stone level like bitterness right there.
Yeah, this reminds me of like I feel like
Ruination.
I would get this beer in a screen printed bomber
Yep.
in like the one liquor store that has craft beer.
No doubt.
Like this really feels like it's good, but it's a very good like 10 years ago double IPA.
I appreciate it for what it is. Like it's got that like alcohol burn.
It's got the
a
heat.
it's got a hop burn on it
like
too.
it makes me think of like bygone breweries like Marin Brewing or like
God, Marin Brewing. Every time I bought a beer from them, it was just like, all right, here we go. We're gonna
Here we go.
we gotta prepare for this one. I think they were the first brewery I saw with a triple IPA on the shelf. Like it was
they had.
just
I remember they had a
crazy.
double
$5
white,
at
or like
Trader
an
Joe's?
imperial white ale. They were all about imperial everything. I'm just also picturing somebody from Marin Brewing like punching through their hat when they hear this podcast. Like, we're still in business, damn it.
Get ready to blast off.
Yeah, but for what this is, it's oh man, this is you can taste.
It's
I can
really-
feel it.
It's really well executed, though. It's really clean.
Yeah.
There's not really any of the weird off bits that you're gonna get in like a small brewery's IPA. I think this beer is really well done. It's coming from a design place of kind of a older era of beer, but
Yeah,
it's
we're
good.
2 for 2 with IPA without diacetyl, so that's always a win.
Yay.
So-
And
Yep.
that burnt, even though I completely agree. Like when you take a sip, it's in your face, and I definitely
Yeah.
get that like heat, but I feel like it dissipates pretty quickly.
See, I get like a little bit of like a breathing fire afterwards.
Yeah, I
where
get that. I get
like
the
it
fumes.
lingers on the back of the palate where you're like you feel like you're like just you
Breathing
light
hops,
it.
yeah.
Like you can just
I get kind of
It's like you're hop vaping.
Greg,
Has anybody
blowing
made
clouds.
that yet?
hold on, edit that out, John,
Business idea.
because we just got $1 million idea.
Yeah, I've actually done that with Lagunitas a long time ago. They vaporized. They put hops in their like weed vaporizer.
That was when
and
they did the
Babs.
crossover. They did they worked with the vape shop
Yeah.
to create hop vapes, and then they put the tea or the
I had their
It was super-
I had their
Huh.
THC beer. It was pretty good.
Do you trip
The lu-
balls on it? Like,
I mean, no, it's like edibles.
oh, okay. You're like,
Got you high.
whoa.
Yeah, the hi-fi hops or whatever.
hear the
flavors. I found one like a month ago. I was like, oh, it's pretty good.
Is it
It's,
handy?
it's expensive.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's like $8 for like a bottle of beer,
Ooh.
like a 12-ounce bottle of not beer
holy moly.
of hop water with THC.
I'm gonna say too, this has that classic like old school hop like crystal feeling on my tongue that goes with the alcohol. Like you can almost taste like the roughness of the bitterness of the hops,
It's
and I like that.
to be honest, it's refreshing, not literally, but like figuratively, in that you don't get this kind of IPA too much anymore.
Yeah.
And it's nice to go back and visit one that's really well done. Again, it reminds me of the like Pliny the Elder generation of IPA, right? A bunch of C hops and Simcoe. It's pretty much what Pliny the Elder is, right? So,
Yeah, you said you went to Moab. You got this?
yeah,
Is it
so-
a pretty big place, or is
The
it
city or the brewery?
well the brewery itself?
There's
It's-
a picture
it's
in the
basically
channel.
like a brew.
Yeah,
It's
Kyle
basically
posted
a brew
a photo.
Oh, it is.
yeah,
in the
yeah.
chat.
It's
Okay, I
a
didn't see
brew.
that.
I'm like I'm not trying to figure out how to describe it. It's a brew pub. It's a
It looks like
restaurant.
Alpine size.
Yeah,
If you
so
ever went to
it's-
the original Alpine, that's kind of
Yeah, I didn't see, and there was no I didn't have any visibility on equipment or how big their operation was.
But
if
you can
they
tell by the
brew
size
there.
of the building.
But yeah,
how
I mean,
big it is. It's probably like a 15-barrel system or something like that.
Yeah,
at most.
They had a pretty good supply in their cooler too. Like
Yeah,
all with really recent dates. I think this one, oh, it's rubbed off. But yeah, like they were all within like the last couple of weeks.
I would hope so.
Because I picked up their pale and their IPA as
I've
well.
been to breweries
okay.
where you have like 2-month-old beer in
Really?
there. Yeah, and I'm like,
Oh,
what,
yeah.
what are you guys doing with your lives?
Oh man, that's just wrong.
I've
That's
seen that as well.
that's disrespectful. That's
Right?
consumer hostile right there, dude.
They stand by their product. God damn it. They
Yeah.
want to sell it.
Shall we move on?
Let's do it.
All right.
Yeah.
The next one I brought here, this is coming from Tavor. I know you guys jumped on the Tavor
Tavor.
wagon.
We did.
You're welcome.
Taver.
Taver.
Have any of us figured out if that's actually how you say it?
I don't know, but I'll have to ask them.
Apple, if you use dictation, calls it Taver.
Yeah,
So
I
Like
mean,
flavor
savor,
with a U.
flavor, Taver.
I guess I could.
Not
I like Tavor, but I think
Tavor.
Tavour.
Devour
Makes
like
more
devour.
sense.
Okay.
To
If
Vour
anybody from
or not
Tavor
Tavour?
or Tavour
Or
or Tabor
Tabor.
is listening, let us know.
They're
This will
getting
be
a lot
the-
of plugs on our show too,
Right.
just,
Well-
just by trying to figure out how to say their fucking name.
We should put their fucking promo code on our end.
Yeah. Yeah.
promo
Okay.
code.
Use our promo code to get us $10 off our next beer.
It's a legit too. I like that promo. Okay, so the next one here, I got this pretty recently. It's from Connecticut Valley Brewing. It's called Sherwood. It's a New England style IPA because I can't not get a New England style IPA.
Of course.
8.2%. I brought this one. This was kind of like a last minute add on because I thought this was really interesting. To me, it was a New England style IPA that almost, and I could be totally wrong, that almost had like a little bit more of a malty character as opposed to just being super citrusy.
That's always
so
welcome.
I'd love to hear what you guys think if I'm crazy, because also the color was a lot darker to me than,
that is pretty dark, yeah.
than I expected from a New England style. So I thought it'd be interesting to get your guys' take on it.
Yeah, it could be darker just because of the... Well, it's not that... Okay, yeah.
I mean, it felt darker to me, I guess, after having a bunch of really bright ones. So I don't know.
Because it could be darker just from the malt or from oxidation. So we'll see.
Let's hope it's not oxidation.
Does it
Yeah.
say any notes on there?
Well, let's hope it's neither.
No.
Oh, that's true.
I don't want any
It is
killed
a
malt.
single hop mosaic beer, 8.2%. New England.
So I was
double
right with the
IPA.
mosaic. So
Yep.
the can art is a mosaic with a bird sitting in like on hop binds. And it looks like I don't know what kind of bird that is.
An abundance of mosaic hops are added at different stages of the brew process to impart a tropical fruit aroma with hints of fresh rose blossoms before embracing your taste buds with notes of papaya and tangerine.
As a policy, I don't read their tasting notes. I'm like, that's literally my job. So,
Sorry, my bad.
And I really think at this point, like, you shouldn't be adding hops throughout the brewing okay, if they say the brewing process, maybe they're talking about fermentation too. Because if you're
It's
adding
triple hops
anything...
brewed.
through the brewing process.
Yeah, I mean, I want everything in the whirlpool and then do it in the kettle or the fermenter after
We'll
that.
do it in the kettle.
So I just tried this.
2 for 2.
This beer is very much, they got the good candy like mosaic.
For sure.
It's got that like Smarties candy aftertaste that you get out of really good mosaic beer.
Yeah, definitely get some pineapple sort of mango.
Yeah, it comes off very sweet, very tropical. This doesn't have any of the like oniony, green oniony,
No, not
garlicky
at all.
notes that
This
some
is
mosaic
delicious
gets,
mosaic.
right? When you get the booty mosaic that you don't have hop futures or whatever.
I kind of, maybe I get that a little bit on the nose, but it's a pineapple, like, earthy thing that if you think about onion, maybe you can smell onion on it, but it's not like anything.
Pineapple,
prominent.
guava, sweet tarts. That's a good call.
As
Yeah,
far as
guava's
nice.
a good pull. It's kind of a little bit of a danky sweetness.
Yeah. Sort of extra tropical.
um,
Usually I pull blueberries out of mosaic, but I don't really get that blueberry vibe out of this. That's
typically,
something I look for.
when I try to break down a hazy with the malt character, it falls into 2 categories. It's either white cake batter or nothing else.
Okay.
And there's an in-between there also. And this is kind of in that in-between area where it's kind of sweet, and you get like a dessert quality from it, but it's not like the white cake batter. It's got enough sweetness and body to not make it thin. And what's the ABV on this?
It is 8.2.
Oh,
so
okay. So that could be also alcohol sweetness coming through too.
Yeah, I enjoyed the
Yeah.
bitterness on it too. I think it's really well balanced. It's got a nice zing and a nice back palate. I think it finishes really well.
Yeah, that was one of the things. It was really smooth. I thought it was tasty throughout. I didn't have anything really bad to say about it when I first had it.
Yeah, I don't get any booze off of it either. I think the alcohol's pretty well hidden. It's
I would
I'd buy
comment
it.
on its New Englandiness, but it's actually from New England, so they'd be like, "What the fuck do you know?"
Connecticut Valley Brewing makes some pretty solid stuff, in my opinion. I've had a few things from them on Tavour, and I feel like most of them have been hits for me.
Yeah, I had this, and I had another IPA from them, from the same spot, and yeah, they were both really solid.
even New England, like they don't have like their own style. Like even though it's New England style IPA, like you can't like not every brewery in New England sticks to that like template of hazy IPA. And
Right.
It varies just as much as it varies from East Coast to West Coast.
Yeah, you can't all be Treehouse, right?
Right. Exactly. So I'm not surprised at all that it's a New England
I want
beer.
a beer that's like, we can't all be Treehouse.
That's funny. My family this weekend, they're like, yeah, we're out in Boston. And I was like, they're like, yeah, we didn't get a chance to go to that one brewery. I'm like, what breweries do you guys know in Boston? I was like, what, Harpoon? They're like, no, the one that starts with the T. I'm all, Trillium? They're like, yeah, that's the one. I was like, how the fuck do you guys know about Trillium? Like, you guys don't even
I heard
barely
they
drink.
mistreat their employees.
My father-in-law is the kind of dude who buys those like mixed packs of Samuel Adams. Like that's his like go-to.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do you know about Trillium? Like, did you research or?
Yeah, speaking of Trillium and what Jason said, Tasting Niche on YouTube did her latest video ranting about like bad things that breweries do and that you should be aware of before you buy their beers. And it's a really good video. I highly
I've been
recommend
liking her
it.
new content. She's been killing it.
Yeah, I'm glad she's back. She took like 4 months off after Anthony Bourdain died. And I don't know if that was on purpose or coincidence, but she's back now and she's killing it. She's in Oregon now, so she's no longer in Paris. But
Hopefully she doesn't get the dysentery.
She's already braved the trail. She's in
She's made
Oregon.
it,
She's not
okay.
on her way. Yeah.
I guess you could still get it there though.
Pass on.
Vegan strip club.
For me, this comes off like a West Coast hazy, which is good. So it's a really good beer overall. There's no flaws in it to speak of at all.
Yeah,
So
it's a nice beer.
West Coast Hazy is the name of
Sure
my first
would.
EP.
Would you drink it again, John?
I would drink it again.
You should.
Is that
sure
is that the
would.
barometer here?
Oh,
No, it's
sure
called
would,
Sure would.
Greg.
Sure would. Get it?
Nice.
Jesus Christ.
Sure would.
This is what- I wish I had my ding my bell here.
Do you have
Yeah.
like a womp womp horn on there?
No, there's just a.
I gotta get your wah wah wah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
gotta write that down.
We need a triple air horn, like super bad.
I'm gonna add it before the next show, so we'll have
Shots fired.
It's pretty easy to add sound effects to that.
Perfect.
Shots fired.
All right.
So what's up next, Tim?
Next up, we're gonna go a little higher on the scale here. I brought a bottle of Old Manhattan. This is the 2018 version. This is from Firestone Walker.
Old Manhattan.
It's the idea here. I don't have the notes, but the idea here is that they were kind of combining the flavors of
Yeah, Manhattan.
a Manhattan and an old fashioned.
Oh, so whiskey. You've got your bitters.
You got your bitters, you got your maraschino cherries, you got everything you need in there. And to be honest, outside of beer, like craft cocktails or just interesting cocktails are another thing that I love.
Yeah.
And a Manhattan or an old fashioned are usually my go-to, depending if I want something sweet or something a little more boozy.
Boozy for it.
And so it was super awesome to hear that they made this. And I'll do it on. I did it. So I covered this before on our other show, but I'm going to do it again.
Cool.
I'm going to give a shout out really quick to my buddy Matt, who lives up the street from me. He went down to the Propagator in Venice and picked this up for me. So
Nice.
just to give him the props where they're due. But I thought this was really cool. And have any of you had this?
No.
Yes.
I never heard of it until you mentioned it
So
in the chat. So
I'm super stoked to bring something cool.
I don't think I've ever had a Manhattan
Oh,
Like,
it's super good. You should.
as a cocktail.
Manhattan.
The trick with either of those cocktails is like every bartender can make them, but there's this like weird middle generation of really bad ones.
Oh, for sure.
So
Too
there's like
boozy or
the
bad temperatures.
the really old school cocktail, and then now all the cool bars do the old school cocktails again. But then you order like an old fashioned at like a random hotel bar, and they'll muddle a bunch of fucking maraschino cherries in
so
there
gross.
Yeah.
and make the. There's that video that goes around every couple years of the girl like from like
Yeah.
Aloha Drinks or something being like, here's how to make an old.
And she spills all over the place.
Yeah.
There are some that I've had where like they muddle oranges into it, and it's not too bad.
See, that's
Just
what
gets too sweet.
That's what came to mind for me. Like, okay. One more time. What is in a Manhattan, like traditionally?
It's going to be simple syrup, bitters, and
On a Manhattan.
a Manhattan. Sorry, I'm thinking old fashioned.
Manhattan's vermouth and bourbon or
Sweet vermouth.
Sweet vermouth.
Sweet vermouth, bourbon, and ice, obviously, to chill it down.
And then an old
what am I
fashioned?
missing?
Bitters.
And bitters to
Yeah,
balance
An
it
old
bitters.
out.
fashioned is bitters, simple syrup, and whiskey with like an orange peel garnish.
Yeah.
So there should be some kind of like citrus edge to this a little bit.
Usually
maybe.
it's garnished with citrus or like the
The old
express
fashioned-
citrus oils on the rim.
Or
Old fashioned,
cherry.
usually you put a sugar cube into your shaker and you put the bitters on
No
top.
shaker.
And, well, not the sorry, in this whatever you're building, you put the sugar cube and then
Yep.
you put the bitters on and then you muddle that down.
Yeah. Or just use simple syrup.
You could use it, but it's so much cooler to muddle down a
Yeah.
sugar cube.
That's how I do it at home.
Okay, fine.
But I actually prefer the there's a cocktail called the Boulevardier, which is sort of like a Manhattan with
Yep.
Campari instead.
I had
That's
one.
sort of like my vibe.
I had one of those, in Charleston actually at the hotel. The bartender made one, and it was really good.
Nice.
It was like it was
Boulevardier
like
is
the
great.
best of both worlds to me, which
yeah.
I think this is.
Yeah, for sure.
This smells pretty fantastic.
Yeah, right off the bat, you get like bourbony, boozy cherries.
Graham cracker a little bit.
Yeah, the
Orange marmalade?
the cherry being kind of traditionally, I guess you're gonna garnish a lot of these with like a nice Luxardo cherry or something.
Yeah, I get some orange marmalade sort of on the nose.
It's got a very the flavor kind of comes in waves. There's different elements going on in this beer that are really interesting. There's a kind of a brown sugary note that kind of lingers on the palate.
Yeah, I should note that I just got over a cold, so
Yeah.
my nose isn't quite working 100%. But yeah, this is great. So for FerkFest last year, the dudes from Propagator, they brought a tiki cask that was inspired by a zombie.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, they used falernum and like orgeat and all kinds of like legit tiki cocktail ingredients. And then
That's pretty
I
rad.
don't know if I even tried it. fortunately.
I
'cause I'm
think I
working on an
did,
event.
but you know, I usually try to get to just about everything.
So this one, obviously, Firestone Walker is all about blends and blending all their stuff
Right,
together. So this
right.
is at the base of this is actually a blend of Velvet Merkin, Bravo, and Sticky Monkey, and it's aged in whiskey barrels. And then they add select lots of Parabola and Eldorado, and then they age it in Woodford Reserve barrels. And they used mature cherry bitters, orange bitters, and aromatic bitters
Okay.
as well. So it's literally just like all of their beers blended the right way with some bitters to make what I think literally tastes like what a combo of Manhattan Old Fashioned.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I don't think a lot of bartenders and beer people sort of mix that well, but I'm sort of like on the fringe in between the two now. I don't know, for whatever reason. I have a ton of bitters on my cocktail cart, and if I have an IPA that's kind of past date or something, I'll just take some citrusy bitters and kind
Ooh.
of just pop them on top of the foam. And it's like,
That's a fun trick.
Ooh, I want to try that one out.
yeah,
Yeah.
like way to you can liven up a beverage super easy.
I love IPA. I love bitters.
Yeah.
Like, why not combine the two?
Put 'em
Like,
together.
it makes perfect sense.
Two great tastes that go great together.
You can get there's tons of bitters too.
Oh yeah,
Like,
there's
oh
a
my God.
million different ones.
I have like a set from Crude.
like every dude with a cool mustache like makes
Mustache
their own,
wax
has their
and-
own brand of bitters. Like
My brother-in-law has no mustache and he makes his own bitters. So
Yeah.
it's not exclusive to the mustache.
but you know, every like really cool like bearded bartender.
Yeah, yeah.
dude.
Any super crafty like artisanal bartender is definitely making something fancy with their bitters.
This is kind of a mind scramble. It's really good. If I were to drink a Manhattan next to this, I don't know if I'd put it like it's more stouty than a
Sure.
it's got that stout base.
I feel like it really grasps the essence though of both cocktails.
Yeah.
And that was again, like I said, being that I love both of those, it was really cool to see this come together.
And I think that kind of proves that bitters and beer kind of works. So
Yeah, no,
I think it
now we
works
have a new
quite well.
trick thanks to you. I love
Cheers.
it.
I had to go get the pizza, but I was going to comment on the aroma on this.
Go for it.
I get like like I said, a citrus edge to it. Like I get like an orange kind of burn on it, and I think that's the alcohol and like the smell of the orange. I get that a lot when I like smell like hazy IPAs too that have like big citrus character. I almost feel like it's burning my nose. Like when you smell like you crack open an orange and smell it, and that's what I get from this.
With this, I get like an orange peel character, not like an orange juice,
Like a candied peel
yeah,
sort
peel.
of
Yeah.
vibe.
Yeah. You can smell like
It smells natural.
an acidic like pith,
right,
kind of thing.
right.
It smells natural, but it doesn't smell like if you just cracked an orange open. It smells like it's like a preserved orange, like an orange jelly or marmalade sort of character.
I can get that. And I think you were getting the pizza when I mentioned this, but this is it's a blend of Velvet Merkin, Bravo, Sticky Monkey aged, then mixed with Eldorado
God, that's
and
good.
Parabola aged.
Wow.
So it's basically like all their stuff mixed
Yeah.
together. And I know you obviously you collect a lot of the brewery stuff. I don't know how up you are on like Firestone Walkers.
I've got a
blends.
pretty ample
Yeah.
collection. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it's basically keeping with their tradition of like blending all of their really good beers.
Yeah, this
I'm
has
down with
that quintessential Firestone aroma and flavor on the beer too. Like I think that really stands out. They have their own, I don't know, not terroir, but you know what I mean, for a brewery, like they have their own thing going on with their beers. And this is a great beer. I mean, you can taste the booze. It's a big beer for sure, but I don't think any component is too overwhelming.
Yeah.
No, I think it's really well
Yeah.
blended, well balanced. I mean, we have a long history of gushing over Firestone's
Yeah,
fucking
for
big
sure.
beers on
Oops.
this show. So yeah. I mean, we
I haven't tried it before, so thanks
we
for
love
bringing it.
Firestone. They won our stout challenge. They've I think second place in
place of
Saison
Saison.
with a beer that they discontinued.
Yeah.
Which one was that?
Opal.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In our what we did like a
Opal.
Sweet 16 on that one.
Yeah, that was
That
great.
was good. It was bracketed. That was
Firestone's the shit.
Yeah, no, I would agree, especially being in West LA and having the propagator
Yeah,
nearby.
and shout out to my friend Matt
I went to a store.
Brynildson. I'm just kidding.
I went to a store that had like a poster that had David Walker and Adam Firestone on it, but like David Walker was kind of obscured with the way their window layout was set up, and I was like, "Who the fuck is this guy?"
Yeah, when you see Adam in like old photos of Firestone Walker, it's the same thing. You're like, okay, I see David, but who's this other person like packaging the beer? Okay. Oh, it's Adam. All right.
Yeah, I think David Walker is definitely the face that I would recognize.
Oh yeah, it's the face all the females recognize too. He's fucking hot.
Not like that dreamboat from Allagash.
It works out very well that he's really good at like talking to people and like promoting Firestone Walker and also being absolutely beautiful.
And he knows the business. So
Yeah.
if you have like
He's a
random
very smart dude.
questions about like hop futures and stuff like that, he knows everything.
Yeah, I've
like, that's
never met or been around, but it seems like in everything I see from people, like seems like a very personable,
Yeah.
like
He's cool.
genuinely
You
like,
would melt.
good person.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm in the presence of beauty kind of thing. Yeah. Who is that guy at the Extreme Beer Fest?
The Allagash guy.
The Allagash guy. It was who was he a blend of?
He looked like Ben Affleck.
He was Ben Affleck, basically.
And
yeah.
it was Ben Affleck and David? No, it was just Ben Affleck. Yeah, that guy was pretty fucking hot too. I gotta say. And he was killing it with like the whole like he just like David Walker, where all smiles, all talking. You're talking one-on-one with people. Like he's got his game down too. That was talking about hot men.
We got any other dreamboats we want to talk about on Four Brewers?
Hot men.
Not in the beer world.
4 hot men.
All right, so the next beer Tim brought is no stranger to Four Brewers.
The Kabibbles.
But, yeah. What's this next beer?
So the next up, I got my hands on, thanks to my sister-in-law, of this year's release of KBS, the Kentucky Breakfast Stout. This is a 2019, obviously, edition from Founders, 12.2% Imperial Stout. So try and work our way up here. I have had KBS before. I don't remember what years, but I thought just for the heck of it, since I had it and it's supposed to be highly acclaimed, that we would check it out.
It's always, dude, that was like the original whale, dude.
We did it back in 17. We did a June 2017. We had a 2017 bottle of it, but it'd be good to try it again. Got to be better than the CBS we had.
I was gonna say, where does it rank with CBS? I didn't have it, but I heard it was very sweet.
I don't like maple in beer as a rule, so CBS I'm not the target audience for either way. But I didn't. We had it on the show and we didn't love it.
It was very lackluster. It was there was just something. It was hot and it was a sort of unbalanced and sort of a mess. But maybe your palate 5 years ago was like, oh, this is really good. Like fucking A.
I think
5
it was one of
stars
those.
on Untappd,
It was one of
bro.
those things where it was one of the first big barrel stouts with like a sweet adjunct, and people were just like, "Wow, that's crazy! You can put maple in a
KBS.
barrel aged beer."
I've never enjoyed CBS. Like the first time I had it was at a party we had at GABF at our house that we were renting, and it was like the bottle that was getting open that everyone was looking forward to, and it was a complete letdown.
Yeah, what is CBS like? The Big Bang Theory and
Exactly.
procedurals
I was going
for
to say,
elderly?
they don't have the greatest TV shows.
Yeah, no, CBS not great.
I'm glad that
What-
we
what
were
about-
on the
what
same
about
page with bad jokes here, Jason.
The new Star Trek, right?
I haven't seen it.
That's on their
I have
streaming
not, and
channel.
I'm not going to watch it. But like everyone subscribes to CBS All Access just for that. And the Twilight Zone just came out.
Oh yeah, I do want it. The first episode's on YouTube.
Yeah, we saw it on YouTube, and it was really good.
Oh, okay. I want to check that out.
And then the second one is with Ben from Parks and Rec. I don't know his real name, Ben Wyatt. He's on a plane doing
Chris
some stuff.
Pratt.
No,
Not Chris
Ben
Pratt. Ben Wyatt is Leslie Knope's husband. He's the
Adam
the
Scott.
accountant.
Adam Scott. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
awesome. That guy is.
Yeah, so far the Twilight Zone's really good. I recommend it.
This thing is boozy off the bat. Like
Yeah, it's
that
always
aroma.
pretty boozy. What's the ABV? I always forget.
12.2.
12.2. Yeah, it shows 12.2. You know,
It
it's not
definitely
hiding
has-
there.
It definitely has a lot of that like baking chocolate on the aroma.
Yeah, coming from another like big stout that we just had with the Firestone Walker, this is completely different. This is just all big dark chocolate on the nose.
Oh
with
yeah,
booze.
I'm getting a lot like
A lot boozier too.
the aromas or the flavor seems very bitter. Like it's bittersweet with like the booze heat coming in right behind it.
Yeah, and the coffee character sort of like is on your exhale, sort of kind of exhales with your alcohol plumage.
Tastes like a European candy,
plume.
like a European chocolate, where they're like not as concerned with sweetness.
Yeah, get some licorice character in
Yeah.
there as well. It's just super easy drinking as far as like a 12.2.
Yeah, those easy drinking high ABV stouts are dangerous.
Yeah, and I like that it's not super thick too. It's got a nice sort of like on the lighter side of body.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's got a nice balance between the mouthfeel and the dry finish.
Yeah, the really viscous, sweet trend in big stouts right now. It gets so taxing so quickly.
You talking like pastry stouts or just stouts in general?
Both.
You
right?
guys have a thing against pastry stouts anyway.
I don't. Jason, I don't think
I feel like
does.
there's a lot of
No, I
biting
don't.
on
Fuck
it
'em.
last time I was here.
I have a thing against stouts. I don't buy them.
Just don't buy them.
Really?
I like stouts, but
I
not.
have a policy of not buying stouts anymore.
Well, what about like lighter, like dry stouts, like Irish dry stout?
Nah.
That's like 5%.
I mean, I did buy a Guinness on St. Patrick's Day.
Well, Wall of Sound.
Yeah, what about Wall of Sound? We had that with Rick. That was really good.
I'll drink it. I won't buy it.
That's. I understand not buying like big, like shelfy stouts, but
What
stout
about
in general.
That's money I could have spent on IPA.
What about a Schwartz beer?
What about milkshake IPA?
No, that's gross.
We have one of those coming up too. So
Woo!
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be great.
it actually is. I've had it and it's good. So, but this beer, I remember having it last time and I didn't like it as much as I'm liking it now.
Yeah, this is actually one where you could drink like a whatever you would consider a full pour of a 12% beer, but it's not one of those ones where I'm like having my little sampler and I'm like, okay, that's enough for one day. Like I actually
I could finish the bottle if I had to.
Yeah, pretty much. Like you could take down that 12 ounce on a rapidly declining night of playing video games.
For sure.
Where you're just,
You know you're going to go to bed after.
Yeah.
where your performance in gaming is going right off a cliff.
Where your
Been
KD
there.
is like 1 in 30. You're like, all right.
I'm like that with Rocket League. That's all I play is Rocket League, and it's like just a basic
That
game.
looks so fun.
It's I love playing. Like I before I went to the run yesterday, I was like, I got some time. I'm gonna play some Rocket League. I haven't played in like a month.
Then you
And
missed the run.
I fucking killed. No, I made it.
Did I
I killed it, and I was just like, I left. I was like stoked. I'm like, fuck yeah, that was awesome. And I'm gonna go run.
did I tell you that I played like 50 matches before I realized you could jump again?
Yeah, but you told me this.
You're like,
I was
was
like,
your
wait, you
handicap?
could jump a second time?
Yeah,
Fuck.
yeah. I'm by no means an expert at Rocket League. Like my aerial game is just non-existent, but I'm getting better at like I struggle with actually hitting the ball, like timing basically, and I'm getting a lot better at that and defense. So yeah,
Nice.
Rocket League's fun. You should try it.
I'm gonna have to look into it.
Yeah, you should. We play together.
I think it's actually
Yay.
cross-platform, right? One of the few that...
It's on everything. Yeah, you can get on Nintendo
but
Switch.
but you can play against each other as well. So at the
I'm
very least,
not-
PS4 and PC are cross-platform.
I'm not sure how. Yeah, because I've played on Switch, and I don't get ranked with like the same type of players that I get paired up with on Xbox. So, but Xbox is the preferred platform. If it's on, like, if I'm on the road with my Switch, it's great to have it there too.
Yeah.
It's really nice. So Rocket League's dope.
All right.
Anyway, so welcome to the show, Tim.
Yay.
We're really stoked. I'm personally really stoked to have you on the show. I'm sure you guys are too.
I'm
I hope,
personally.
maybe.
He even received Matt's
Personally.
blessing. Like,
That was really nice.
because
I miss Matt.
Matt's still in our private chat, and you know, obviously, we want to make sure that Matt's cool with whoever we bring on because it's a big chair to
Aw,
fill.
thanks, Matt.
So,
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
As long as Betty approves, I'm good.
Yeah, as long as and hopefully the
She's like
selection.
growling at you in the corner.
Yeah,
Like
right.
I'd be like, this guy's kind of sketchy.
Hopefully, my first selection officially.
That was a good
There's a
tasting
nice
flight.
batch of beers from all over the country.
All right, good.
It's honestly looks a lot like in just the array. It's kind of what I brought to similar, like just mishmash of all
Yeah.
around everywhere, kind of representative of.
yeah, they're great beers. So, thanks, Tim.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, guys.